Kibaha has served as a commissioner for over 4 years and has been extremely influential in promoting progressive initiatives for the airport. He is a chief operating officer of Hank AI, an IT support firm, and he's previously served as a member of the Lexington Chamber's Board of Directors. So Hank, I ask you to come up.
Thank you, Angel, for that introduction. For the past 4 years, I've had the honor of serving as a commissioner on the Airport Commission at the Columbia Metropolitan Airport. From that vantage point, I've been able to watch our two speakers run a great organization. I think that the airport is an example of an excellent operation. It serves both the community of Richland and in the county of Lexington. I use that airport as much as I can. I love to fly out of there. It's so easy to get into the airport and get out of the airport. It's really, really convenient. So I hope that you all use the airport as much as I do in the next couple of years. Michael is the executive director of the airport, and Kim Jameson is the director of marketing and air service development. And I'm not going to get into their entire background, but I can tell you that they are extremely qualified to run this airport, and they do a great job, and I'm going to let you hear it from them. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for that introduction. We really appreciate it. So to kick things off, I'm going to kind of give a quick update of like where we are as a whole from a global perspective with air travel, and then whittle it down a little bit to CAE and kind of bring it home a little bit for you. So right now, from a TSA update, I'd kind of love to just start from that perspective. At the end of June of 2022, TSA finished at 89% of where they were at 2019 levels. So as you probably can guess, and probably some of your own businesses, you really are looking at 2019 always from a comparative to where you are now. 2019 for CAE was our golden year. We ended the year with 1.3 million passengers through the airport. So coming into 2020, we'll just say it was a gut punch for us toward that middle part, but that was pretty much how it was across the board. So we always really look back to 2019, and industry-wide they do as well. I will say, going into the holiday season of July 1st, TSA hit another milestone record. Post-COVID numbers, they saw 2.5 million passengers through the airports globally on that one day, July 1st. So by a show of hands, did people in this room fly out on July 1st by chance at all? Over the weekend of 4th of July weekend? Did you fly? A couple of hands. Okay, good.
Hopefully it's CAE, right?
Exactly. If not, Mike is we're gonna find you at the end of this for sure. So moving on a little bit to bringing it down to where we stand currently at CAE. January through May of 2022, we saw just over 200,000 enplanements. That roughly is around just over 400,000 people through our airport. That's really significant in comparison to where we were this time last year. As you can see, we saw just over 128,000 enplanements, which was roughly about 257,000 passengers through the airport, which is over 100,000 less than where we are now. So that growth is really significant, and we're seeing strong recovery post-pandemic, which is really, really wonderful. Moving on to a little bit about the passenger demographic at CAE. So pre-pandemic, we were really looking strongly at 70-20-10. So I'm going to break this down for you just a little bit. For the longest, about 2015 to 2017, we did a study to look at our passenger demographic. And we saw that the majority of our business was business travelers. So 70% of people that were flying through CAE were business travelers. The next group, that 20%, were military and 10% were leisure. Well, post-pandemic, things have really changed for our airport, and it's something that we're really paying a lot of attention to. So I want to show you this graph here, and I'll kind of explain this. Recently, my department has been really working on market research in any ways that we can, any kind of touch points we can get our hands on. So about 2 months ago, we launched a Wi-Fi login response survey. And so of the people that come through our airport and of the people that decide they want to utilize our web access and get free Wi-Fi, we have 3 questions that we ask people. This survey is something we didn't have before, and we're gathering lots of information. Right now, we have about a 10% response rate, which is actually really good, and it's something that we can start to continuously hone in on. So these 2 lines here at the top, so all 3 of these I'll just quickly run through. The blue represents the business traveler, the red represents the leisure traveler, and the black line red represents military. And so as you can see here, the business and leisure are really flirting with each other back and forth. And so that is something that we didn't really see too much beforehand. The leisure market is really having an uptick at our airport, and that's something that we're welcoming and very excited for sure. So I want to talk quickly about some summer travel updates and just things that we're seeing as an industry as a whole. As you can probably guess that you are seeing at the pumps for your own cars, fuel prices have been a stickler across the industry. Those fuel prices have been reflected in some of the airline costs as well. I'm sure if you're looking at airline tickets, you might see an uptick, and that is greatly related to the fuel prices as well. That's something that all airlines have told us that's been a really big challenge for them. The next thing is summer storms. I was traveling back actually from a trip with the airport, and I got stuck in Atlanta, and I could not travel into Columbia because of these terrible, terrible storms. I'm sure you've probably seen on the news so much is happening, and that's just a factor going into the summer. We always see these, and we have tons of diversions at our airport as well. So that's just something that's another factor going into traveling if you're flying out. Increased passenger traffic. We're seeing people are coming back by the droves, which is really great, but it also really makes airports congested and airlines congested, which is a good and bad problem to have, but it's just something also to know across the network as a whole. People are back, people are flying more, people are feeling comfortable flying after the pandemic as well, post-pandemic. And the last thing is that our airlines are really working to regrow and re-strengthen their own networks post-pandemic. So I will say that our airlines, as you probably all know, were hit really severely, and they are still recovering to get their networks back up to where they were in 2019 before adding more markets or more routes across the board. So the last little part, I have some quick summer tips for you if you're traveling out. This is something that we get asked a lot about, so I thought I would just share this information with you, something for your back pocket. One, always check CAE first. I know so often people are like, I'm going to Charlotte, and Michael definitely hit on that for sure. We don't like to hear that. But check CAE. So often I get people messaging me saying, I looked at CAE and this flight is actually $150 cheaper than it is out of GSP or Charlotte. And so I'm like, yes, thank you. Please at least look at us. This is your hometown airport. We're in your backyard, so please support local. Next one, don't wait to book flights. The closer you get to when you're ready to travel, the more expensive it's going to be, period, hands down. Pre-book your parking. If you haven't been out to the airport in a while, we have a new system that came online toward the end of 2020, and you're able to pre-book your parking. For those people that are going to be having extended stays, they're parking maybe 3 to 5 or even more days, you will get a significant discount on your parking if you pre-book. You can go to flycae.com, check under the parking tab, and get all the information you need to about pre-book parking. Ensure your airline's app is on your phone. That is the best way to stay connected with your airline. If you're traveling and you get stuck somewhere, you can easily connect with them. Arrive earlier than expected. So often we hear, oh, I'm just going to roll up to CAE. It's a sleepy little airport. There's not going to be too many people there, and I can get on the flight within 10 minutes, no problem. That is a thing of the past. That is no longer the case. We're seeing lines backed all the way up through the main lobby. We love seeing that. I know you probably don't love seeing a huge line, but people are traveling a lot more, so just make sure to prepare and give yourself plenty of time. Carry on if you can. I'm a checked bag girl for sure, but carry on right now, especially during the summer months. It'll just reduce any hassles that you might have. And last but not least, if you don't have pre-check or global entry, I would really encourage you to look into doing that as well. Again, it will save you time in the TSA pre-check lines as well. So there's just a few things from me. I'm going to pass it over to Mike to continue talking a little bit more about our economic impact.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all. Kim mainly brought me along to make anybody that's flying out of Charlotte feel really guilty today. No, seriously, I mean, what Kim touched on, we have to support our local airport. If we don't, tickets are going to continue to be high. We're not going to get more increased flights. So please, like she said, please check us first. So I'm going to talk a little bit about where's the focus in the future. We've got a lot going on, and as you all know, the airport, any airport that's in your home area is your major economic driver. So we have over 1,800 full-time employees out at the airport, and that's campus-wide, so that includes all of our tenants. Over $80 million in labor income. We've got a $535 million in economic output within the state of South Carolina. We serve as a regional cargo hub for UPS, so we're one of 6 regional cargo hubs throughout the nation. So some of the improvements that you're going to see as you fly through our airport, right now we're currently going through a $20 million project, and that's an inline baggage project. So when you come out to CAE currently, you're going to see the big gray CTX machines that TSA runs your bags through. That'll all be back behind the scenes moving into the future. That's been a big one. We've got, let me pull my slides up here. So we're starting to receive a lot of federal money right now. So over the next 5 years, we've got $85 million worth of projects that we'll be undergoing. One will be a new customs facility. We've got expansion of the TSA checkpoint, which that one's going to be a difficult project for phasing purposes. So pack your patience. We've got new escalators throughout the terminal. We've got 2 new ones coming into the garage. Those have been issues. Those have been a maintenance nightmare in the past. People get frustrated with the ones in the garage. I get it. When they were originally installed, those were indoor escalators, so they're not going to weather the storm. The new ones will. We've got a bunch of airfield projects that'll be coming up. We'll be upgrading our food and beverage program, hopefully rolling that out this year. That's one of the biggest complaints that I do receive. Kim receives, why don't we have name brands? I won't go into the politics, but it's something that we're working on. So let's talk a little bit about economic development. So I've been here at CAE for 9 years. I've been the executive director for the last 5. When I came on as executive director, this was always my vision. Let's get rid of the pine forests that are all around the airport. Let's start making economic development happen. And we are. And we're moving forward. This is a concept that we're currently working on. Right now, we're doing our due diligence on all the property that we own. So this big hangar, that is a possible project. We're working with Commerce and the state and the county right now on 4 different projects that are all aviation related. So I feel like this is it's Columbia's turn. Greenville got to see their growth, Charleston's seen their growth, Myrtle Beach has seen their growth. Obviously we're right in the middle of the state. We've got a lot to offer here. And we teamed up with Magnus Development Partners about 2.5 years ago to start really trying to figure out the properties that we do have that we don't need. Let's get rid of them. Let's sell them. Let's take the money right now. But we have a lot of opportunity. We've got over 500 acres that can be developed that actually makes sense. So this is just to kind of show you what options we do have and take a look at everything that's around the airport campus, and they're there for a reason. They're there because the airport's situated where it's at. So if you look at the top, that area right there is actually, that's actually Boeing put on our facility. So we've got 250 acres there that's slated for aerospace development. But there's so much happening around the airport and the community as a whole, and that's why we know the growth is coming. So 803 Park, so if you go across 302, we own a business park. Behind that business park, we've got about 75 acres. Magnus Development Partners, they bought that property from us a year ago, and they're looking to put over 2 million square foot worth of Class A industrial facility, warehousing facility. And that's mainly in, to be able to support UPS's operation moving forward. If we can we play the video real quick? Okay, so Kim she touched a little bit on, some of the air service and some things that we're working towards. It's, this is always ongoing. We are always dealing with the airlines. We're in constant communication with them. The one thing that I will say, everybody, when I'm out doing presentations, everybody wants to see the low-cost carrier. We do too. The biggest hurdle that we have is that they've been here and they weren't successful. So that is definitely a hurdle that we have to get past. We've been in really good, strong talks with Frontier and Allegiant to try to get them in here. It's sounding fairly promising, and I don't think we're going to see it this year, but hopefully next year. Right now, everything's in flux with the airlines. As you can imagine, coming out of the pandemic, you've got Frontier trying to buy out Spirit, so nobody's making any major moves right now at this current time. But the one thing that I will ask, and I'll tell you all, if we get this low-cost carrier in here, I need all you in here and this whole community to help me support that. Because if we lose them again, we're probably never going to see them in the future. We had Silver, which came in during the pandemic. They did okay. I don't foresee them coming back unless Kim, if you've heard anything different, but it really takes the communities to support the airport. And that's all I can ask from you. As Kim said, please check us first. I get it, I've got young children, so those going into the Atlantas and the Charlottes with young kids, it's difficult. Yes, I'd rather fly direct, and I understand that, but please, if you can, check us first. So next we'll talk a little bit about partnerships. I don't know if you all have heard, over the last couple of months, it's been a little louder around this area. But this has been a really cool partnership with the Air National Guard to bring the F-16s in. They had options to go elsewhere. We worked with them very, in full support. I mean, we wanted to see the F-16s. Hopefully you all love the sound of freedom. It's been cool. It's been awesome for us out at the airport. It is a little difficult when you're on a Zoom call at times, but definitely glad to have them, and we're always looking for, local partnerships, so just keep that in mind. But we are going to have an observation area that we'll be building. So please come out. Generally, they'll fly between 9 and 10 in the morning, and then they'll fly right at 1:30 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It just depends. They won't give me a definite schedule because they don't want anybody to know when they're actually going to be flying. But it's been a great partnership. And with that said, I want to get into my favorite part, which is Q&A. We don't need to be mean. So, what questions can we answer for y'all?
What economic development plans are in place to fill those buildings that you are projecting to build on the property?
What plans are in place? I'm sorry.
What economic development plans are in place to utilize those buildings?
So since Magnus bought that property, if you know Kevin and Bill Owen, they know the industry, so they wouldn't be building if they didn't have have somebody already lined up to come in. So we're curious to see what's going to happen there. But again, that's to really support UPS and FedEx operations.
All right, I have an easy one for you guys. So first of all, thank you so much for everything that CAE does. It's great to have you all at such a beautiful place to fly in and out of. But you mentioned the check-in piece. Okay, what's the difference between that and the Real ID? And when is the date for the Real ID? Has it moved since COVID?
Yeah. So pre-check is something that you are able to sign up through TSA, through the government. It's a 5-year, five-year opportunity and click clearance through TSA, and you're able to go into a different line at airports, and it's a faster process because they have already gotten all of your fingerprints and all of your background searches. Global entry includes pre-check, so if you're flying internationally even 1 or 2 times a year, I would definitely say global entry because it comes with pre-check, and you're just able to go through a different line at security checkpoints faster. The Real ID is something that has been pushed a couple of times, but that is something that everyone who is going to be flying will need to have. And so this, I believe the new deadline is now May of 2023 to have your Real ID. So that's just something that you need to go to the local DMV and get an updated driver's license. Because if you don't have, I believe, a yellow star, then you're not going to be able to fly. Unless you have like a passport or another way of a form of ID.
O'Neill, you gotta have something.
Mike, I texted you about a month and a half ago. If you've never been to CAE, I grew up, I didn't fly out of Columbia. We always drove to Charlotte or go to Atlanta. But it's really a great airport. So about a month and a half ago, I just fly out on Monday morning. And I really dreaded the business travel day. I just knew it was going to be. I texted Mike when I sat down. It was 18 minutes when I walked through the door to when I sat down at my gate, and I had to check back. That was, you can't do that in any other airport. You can't go to Charlotte to do it. You can't go to Greenville or Charleston to do it. So, and my hat's off to you guys, what y'all have done. Y'all really turned this airport around from the airport that I knew when I was young. So, y'all done a fantastic job.
We have more to come too, so
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Hey, Kim.
Hi.
Question about the number of people flying in the airport and coming in and out. I've been in South Carolina almost 40 years, and we're kind of a college town and a government town. Are we seeing enough business when the low carriers come in to actually support the low carriers for people traveling? Because, how does our travel numbers here compare with, Charleston, Greenville, the counties that are bigger than Columbia? We're kind of like I said, kind of a little sleepy area.
So, and this was interesting. So the first roundtable that I went to, and a roundtable is when there's about a group of 50, airport executives that meet with the airlines. We get our chance to have our one-on-ones. And the planner at the time from Allegiant, we were sitting in the room, and my mentor from Kentucky, we were sitting there, and he said, "Who in here has a major college town?" Well, he's got University of Kentucky, and we have USC, so we both raised our hands. And the planner at the time, he said, "I don't care." He said, "Your students are flying 2 to 3 times a year." He said, I want to know what your faculty makes and how often they're going to fly it. And the problem that we do see, and I want to see the low-cost carrier come in here, I do. I just want to make sure that the community is going to support it. Because we're already up against one hurdle, and if we were to lose them again, I don't foresee them coming back anytime soon. But really it's coming down to, what is our demographic makeup? What does the traveler experience look like? What do you all want to see? And if you can provide us with that kind of information, there's a lot that we can do with that. So Denver, I think, would be awesome. Boston would be awesome. I mean, there's different destinations, but we just need to know that it can be supported. And I will tell you, as far as, airport staff and what I do and Kim does, there's very little that we can do to convince an airline to come here. I can't just call, Frontier tonight and say, hey, I want you here next week. It just doesn't work that way. They've got planners that are constantly watching the information from the community and seeing where people are traveling. Now, we just invested $20,000 into a new software to be able to figure out who, on a daily basis, is utilizing CAE and who's not. So 51% of our leakage right now is going to Charlotte. And the one thing I would tell you is, don't take the money to North Carolina. If you can't utilize us, check GSP, check Charleston, check Myrtle, check Hilton Head. I don't care, but don't take the money to North Carolina.
First of all, again, I love CAE, always take CAE first, it's great, it's wonderful to fly through here. Direct flights, I've always taken advantage of your direct flight to Chicago. We go every year up in December, and it's a great, easy flight. Those seem to be going a little more few and far between. What other direct flights, or are there any more new direct flights you're looking at, aside from, I'm not talking Charlotte and Atlanta, where you're basically going somewhere else, but direct flights to some of the bigger cities?
So we're trying hard to get United to bring Houston back. That was a great market, and why it hasn't come back yet, I don't know. I'm guessing because of the pandemic. Houston was a big one. Detroit was a good one.
Ones that we were just discussing too, with Frontier specifically, they've had great conversations with us about Denver and MCO, so Orlando. Those are two hot buttons for us. We've also had conversations about the nonstop to BNA, which is Nashville. A lot of times too, and something just on the air service side, I'm learning so much about the fact that there are so many pieces to this puzzle to make it work. So it might be it works really great for CAE's side and the gates and the operation, but there might not be gate availability at the destination where we're looking at trying to go. And so those networks are really, the airlines are working within their networks to rearrange and put everything together to make it work and the stars align. It really is the stars aligning when new service comes or when a new airline comes. So to Mike's point, when we do get that, we just need the support and the backing from the community to keep it here and keep it thriving.
And I will tell you, I mean, we've got some challenges ahead. Obviously, just coming out of the pandemic, 2 years of hell. Fuel is up 115% year to date over where it was last year, jet fuel. So like Kim was saying earlier, yeah, you're going to pay that. The airline's just going to pass that down to you. They're not going to lose their money on that. They know that people are wanting to travel and get out right now. But what scares me, and it scares the airlines the most, is the pilot shortage. So nobody thought that, through the pandemic that we would recover as quick as we have. Everybody said 4 to 5 years. So what happened, the airlines started struggling, through their revenue sources. They started putting packages together to get the pilots out. That's the highest paid people within their organization. So now there's a shortage. And it takes forever to get through programs. Several years ago, might have even been a decade ago, the government changed the training status from 500 hours up to 1,500 hours. That's an issue. You have to retire out at 65. Well, 65 is still pretty young. So that's something that the federal government's, so that's something that, we've got lobbyist groups that are at DC trying to lobby, why can't these guys that are 65, 66, 67 come back and fly? They're willing to do it, they want to do it. So that is an issue, and that's something that we're certainly up against right now.
I just wanted to say, I used to be actually one of those travelers that went to Charlotte or go to Atlanta for a flight. And honestly, you guys have done something with the price. Over the last 2 to 3 years, I don't know anywhere else in Columbia to fly. I mean, every time I fly, I ran out of Columbia, and it's been a great experience. Really, by the time you spend the gas money and travel to Charlotte or to Atlanta, I mean, you might as well just get a ticket right here at CAE. But it's been a great experience. So thank you. Whatever you're doing, it's working.
So one thing, when Kim first came on, I told her, I said, my goal is to line I-77 with billboards. Enjoy your ride home.
Between now and our next flight out of CAE, what can the people in this room do to support the airport?
Be our biggest ambassadors. I mean, I really felt like we were making huge progress up until the pandemic hit, and then everything just pretty, shut down. I'll tell you, it was eerie through that period. The only people coming off the flights were the pilot and the flight attendants. So it was a scary time, but again, everything's coming back, and it's coming back quicker than we ever anticipated.
I think I'll just add to that and for the captain and everything, continue to look at us, but also talk and speak well of the airport and the community. You know, we are doing our very best behind the scenes. We're kind of like, you know, the duck with the feet going under the water. We're constantly looking at ways to improve everyone's experience. And so just to let people know that when you hear someone say, oh, Columbia or CAE, it's nothing, it's a throwaway. No, say, actually they're doing a lot to do everything they can to have the best air travel experience for this entire region. So that was great.
You know, there are plenty of communities. Yes, sir. Joe Virgo.
I know Mike can't say this, but I'll say this. Airport commissioners are critically important to the success of an airport. And we don't pay enough attention to who gets appointed to our commissions. If you look at who some of the commissioners are at GSP and in Charleston, and you look at the business makeup of those people and the impact that the Millicans made to the success of those airports, they are huge and critical. And so I would challenge you, as we talk to our representatives, both from Richland County and Lexington County, who appoint our commissioners, to make sure that we're appointing high-level commissioners who have a huge business mindset and really get it to where it's not just something to say it's pretty cool that they might have reached up to them on the commission. And so it's critically important for us, and those commissioners play a huge role in supporting Mike and his team in their initiatives.
Great. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. I couldn't say that.